is Lo-Fi Tim and the first podcast of 90srock.com blog. Today we're going to talk about making homemade instruments, which many like to make now with the internet and instructional materials and instructional videos online. So, on this podcast, I would like to talk about some of the cool homemade instruments you can make and use in your own home lo-fi recordings. Then I'll talk to a good friend of mine named Josh Cox, and we'll talk to him about his homemade shovel bass. We'll talk about how he made the bass and his plans for other future instruments. First, let's start with a few of these homemade instruments and let's see how they make them. The first one I found here was on Instructables.com, which is helps you make a electric cigar box guitar. And also there's a little instructional video about it on YouTube. And looking at it and how to make it is way above my ability and my skill level. But if you have experience building instruments or you're a handyman, you might want to check it out. It shows all the things you need from the nuts and washers down through the whole 18-step process from beginning to end. It's really cool looking, and I would love to play it myself, just looking at the guitar. I did show it to our guest that will be on the podcast, and he actually plans on building it. We were just talking, and I'd like to hear with him, and he kind of agrees. I'd like to hear it in a DAD tuning, and using his shovel bass to hear what they would sound like together. If you're listening to it, if you go and listen to the video on the website, you can tell that he's playing on a really small amplifier. I think it might even clip on his belt, and he's playing through a very a clean sound. Personally, I'd like to hear it with maybe some distortion or maybe a little delay, see what I could do with some effects. And again, I was talking with Josh, and we've been talking maybe doing a project together, recording with some homemade instruments. If that project comes into any kind of reality, definitely the cigar box will be on the list. Again, he's already talked about making it. So, again, I will leave a description below on the YouTube video and on the blog page for the link if you want to check this out. The next instrument I would like to talk about, I would almost consider it as a traditional instrument. The instrument is the washtub bass. I went on the internet and I looked at various sites on instructional videos about how to make the bass. And the one I chose, the one I want to see, is a very simple one I found on YouTube. They call themselves the Gervons. Very simple video. I think I like the best about it is at the very end, he shows him playing the bass with his daughter, and they do a little fun cover of Seven Army Nation by the White Stripes. I thought it was very cute. Very good cover, actually. So again, yeah, I really like the videos. I think they're very simple. I'm going to leave a link on the YouTube video below and in the descriptions, and I'm also going to leave a link as well on the blog post. I think you guys should check that one out. The next one I found out, okay, so I did the realistic instruments, an actual like cigar, guitar, and the bass there, but another instrument I'd like to take in consideration, you might not actually consider an instrument. Like the video I'm going to post is on YouTube. It's for kids. It's just a typical bottle shaker. And the video is a typical type of kid instrument, where you just take a plastic or a glass bottle and you put various things in the bottle and shake it. Typical stuff to annoy the hell out of the parents with. And you're going to say to me, Tim, are you serious? You really want to record with this? And my response is yes. And think of all the different sounds you can create. First thing, think about plastic versus glass. Each thing would have a different sound in the various containers. And hell, have fun doing it with your kids and explore all the different sounds you can create. That's the whole idea with lo-fi recording is you just use what is available to you. It isn't like we have fancy recordings, and a lot of us do it on Audacity or other type of typical recording programs, so you have to be creative. The one I like to do is a glass bottle with a pop can tabs. I love that sound personally. So open your mind and think about all the possibilities and different sounds you can create with just this medium. Again, I'm going to put the link in the descriptions below in the YouTube video and again on our blog. Now I would like to do the interview with my good friend Josh Cox. He's a local Pocatello resident. And again, on his spare time, he likes to build these homemade instruments. The one that he's going to talk about is the first one he's created. Is his shovel bass. So again, let's start the interview. Okay, so now I have Josh Cox with me with his, what do you call this instrument anyway?
It's my electric shovel bass.
His electric shovel bass. So how did you make your electric shovel bass?
Well, I was watching a YouTube video one day and I saw something similar by a guy called Rob Scallion. Made a guitar sort of like this, and I thought, well, if he can make a guitar this way, I've got a bunch of tools and a bunch of old guitar parts, bass parts, I can make a bass this way.
So how did you start?
I started by getting an old flathead shovel, cut the handle in half, then I cut it down so I could mount the tuning key, put whatever this thing's called. I don't know, what is that?
I have no idea. A fret of some sort, huh?
Yeah, a little piece that holds the string in place. And then I got some electric pickups off of an old Fender guitar that was broken that I had. Drilled some holes in the shovel, mounted that, mounted the volume knob, mounted the plug-in for the cord, and did all the wiring on the back. Actually, my nephew Ethan did all the wiring for me.
Cool.
Yeah, put it together like that.
So, have you made any other instruments besides this one?
I built a guitar once. Gave it to my nephew for Christmas the year before last. I've built a couple of drums.
Do you have any plans for any other instruments in the future?
Yeah, I want to build a cigar box guitar, I think, is what I want to build next.
Have you looked into that yet, or?
Yeah, I have actually. I've got a few different plans that I've downloaded off the internet for how to build them, and I think I'm going to take, all of them and find the stuff I like out of them and just sort of mix and match and put it together.
Cool. Hey, so play it for a second. I'm going to check it out. Mind if I try it for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of cool, huh?
Let's see. Oh no, what'd I do?
Oh.
There we go. Sweet.
Hey, old electric shovel guitar.
YouTube video about making it or anything, have you?
I haven't. I should probably.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You probably should.
Yeah, because like there's not many of them around like this.
Yeah, I haven't seen any shovel ones as far as looking on the internet and stuff.
I have had a few people offer to pay me money to make one for them. No.
You probably should take him up on that.
Yeah, I had a guy offer me $200 for this one once, but this one's mine. I'm not going to sell it.
Hey, do you ever thought about adding another string or make it a 2-string?
I've thought
Maybe
about
another
it.
one?
I think if I do that, I'm just going to make a whole new one and make a 2-string one. Then I could have 2.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If you were going to do it again, what would you do different?
I would probably plane the neck a little more flat, like, because it's sort of got a, you can see how it's not exactly
Flat?
flush.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of tilted a little bit. But that's because I did it with an angle grinder instead of a planer like I should have. But it came out pretty good. I mean, you don't get any slivers or anything when you run your hand down the neck, or
Well, that's good.
yeah.
Is how'd you get this guitar? Sorry, how'd you get this shovel again? Just
Oh, it's just an old shovel I had sitting around. It's actually, I used to use it for a snow shovel. Just a flathead shovel that I had in my shed.
have you thought about if you were going to make another one, what kind of shovel you would use? Is there a different type of you would like the shovels or?
I'd kind of like to get a shovel with a little bit less pitch to it down here, like a flatter one, because it's sort of hard to strum, you know, with that much gap
true.
in there. So maybe if I build another one, I might take it and set it upside down and run it over with my car. And make it flatter.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Actually, that's not too bad of an idea.
Yeah, because like I had to use like a extension for my pickup to get it close enough to the string.
Or just you can have somebody holding it and the guy just might jump on it.
Yeah, something like that. Because yeah, it's kind of down at the body where you strum on it. It's kind of hard to strum because of how angled the shovel is.
All right, cool. So you said the cigar boxes. Anything other ones you thought about making?
No, it's got to be probably about 16 inches by 12 inches by about 3 inches deep. That's pretty much the only cigar box, like, you know, roughly the dimensions of what the cigar box needs to be.
Have you ever seen the oil can ones?
I have.
Yeah, well, those are pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to do something like that too, because I get into making instruments. It's just cool, kind of a cool hobby to be into.
Yeah. All right, cool. That's I guess all I need then. All right, man.
Right
All right,
on.
thanks for telling me how you made your instrument, and
Yeah,
let me know if you're gonna make anything else.
Absolutely, and thanks for the interview, man.
All right,
Hopefully
thanks.
it does good for your project.
All right, thanks, man.
I'd like to thank Josh Cox for his time. I really appreciate that. If you get time, check out the pictures on our blog of his shovel base. And again, I'd like to thank you for your time. And I'd also like to thank, looks like Splice.com for the little drum beat, the little beat maker. Very simple, made my theme song real easy to make. I appreciate that. That's all the time I have this week. If you like the show or if you have any comments or suggestions, just go ahead and leave it in the blog and let me know. All right, thank you for your time. You have a wonderful day and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.